So, welcome, Jeanette and Rick. You guys are our rock stars, and you are setting the standards for us all because I can see that we will. It's my intention that we not only continue doing this, but that these Tuesday nights can now become a place that we can be bringing people for intros to these various different aspects of business. So you guys are our rock star pioneers, and hopefully we're all getting some great ideas. Any comments, Marty? I know you had um, some feedback from last week from the skincare. Anything you want to pass along?
Well, I have a lady that she loved the skincare. She had had some health issues, and her church reached out to her, and she said that they asked her how she was doing and what she was doing. She said, "I've been taking these supplements, and they really helped me." Well, what are they? And they said, she said, "I'm taking the Shaklee." She goes, "Oh my God, I haven't heard of that. I've used that as a child all this long. In fact, my mother stopped buying it because she couldn't find a member. Can we buy through you?" So she got two customers, boom, just because someone asked her how she's doing. So,
That's great.
and she was hoping to share the skincare, so, but hey, you go where it goes, right?
First step. First step she had. That's great.
Right.
That's great.
Well, I think what Rick and I are going to do is just the beginning. It's very basic, and someone else could take over and do all the other products, perhaps, maybe.
Well, you guys are doing such a great job as our pioneers, and I really want to acknowledge and thank you because that's what it's taken, just the courage to step out and say, I'm gonna start this. And how is it working for you guys in terms of just your energy and your business and things? How any things you're noticing?
Rick?
Well, I guess the energy is up. Uh, in regards to Marty's 75% rule, we are tracking beyond our number even in the middle of the month. And when we keep doing what we're doing, we're probably going to be moving the number to 4,500 at the end of this month.
That's the law
Isn't
of
that
attraction.
great? Isn't that
Yeah.
terrific? That
But
is
we've
just
been doing his 75% rule for 2.5 months, and even though there aren't many people on this call, it works.
that is so terrific. Well, I think one of the commitments, Marty and I have talked about this. One of the commitments is as we get ourselves grounded in sort of this next step, it'll be a fun time to then begin to set some.
Well, this weekend, Rick and I were just totally involved with colonial business, but that's over. So we are getting back.
Well, and I'll bet tell us what it connections or just conversations out of that time. I'll bet.
Well, yes. There is a minister who reenacts being our Bedford Minuteman Company minister, and I saw him, and I was talking about cleaning colonial shirts, and he was excited because he'd like his little white little spans in his front of his outfit cleaned, and I said, "Oh, you just use a nice product that I have." Well, I saw him on Saturday for our parade and things like that, and he was sitting there and he said, "Jeanette, I just told my wife about Shackley and about that and how we can get our clothes better cleaned." So amazing. You just never know who you're going to talk to that is listening. And that was nice and funny. It was fun. It was nice.
That's just so exciting. That's kind of the way it happens, isn't it?
Right, it is.
That's great. That's great. Sue, any experiences for you want to share? And then we'll get started with what we get to see.
Yes, I've been connecting with a friend recently. She's been hospitalized for for a couple issues with her legs, and I think she's pretty much interested in the Heritage Plan. So I've been working on it for a while. It's like, you
Excellent,
gotta know the difference in vitamins and supplements, and it's a process, you know.
excellent, excellent. That's great. Well, let's formally introduce the preview of Earth Day, and Jeanette and Rick, who are going to graciously be our stellar guides for this. And so we want to be able to introduce the whole Get Clean, the non-toxic, let's be environmentally friendly cleaning products. And I'm sure that we'll have some stories that we can share, but let's kindly recognize and introduce Jeanette and Rick. So thank you.
Okay, well, Get Clean, I'd like to tell you, is safe, it's green, and guaranteed. And Shaklee introduced one of the first environmentally safe household cleaners in 1960. It was Basic H. H stands for household. And it is incredibly versatile. It's safe, it's biodegradable. It is a cleaner that you can use on hard surfaces, on woodwork, on walls, mirrors, glass, and a whole lot more.
There are 1,000 different uses, and a little goes a long way, with just 16 ounces making up to 90 gallons of a powerful cleaner, without toxic fumes, hazardous chemicals you find in other commercial cleaners. This line of products is the only one you want to use, and be sure to get the 3 spray bottles that are offered. It is free of anything that will harm people, pets, and the planet.
Wow.
And so Basic H was the first Earth Day product in 1990. And no, you should not use it to brush your teeth, wash your hair, or bathe. Otherwise, it has so many uses. People used to do that, I think, in the beginning. So Shaklee is, as we say, a product that people recognize. You say Shaklee, and they say, "Oh, my grandmother used to use that."
So how many of you have used the products besides me?
Well,
Jeanette, what are the ingredients of Basic H?
Well, because Shaklee has mentioned it, you look at the Basic H bottle, it isn't listed there. There is nothing that tells you what it is, but it is corn and coconut. That's what it's made of.
So what does it do?
Well, I'm going to show you the demo. First, I'm going to move my camera down to show the bottles. So I'm going to share with you that I am doing a demo that I once did, and I had about 100 people. Shaklee had actually put together a small demo kit, and I did it. And Dan Henderson, who was there while I was doing my demo, came to meet me and he said, "I developed the demo kit." He was so pleased that we were using that. So that is what I'm using for the small products that I have here. So first, I love my bottles and I have them all here. There are 3, excuse me, and I'm going to show you the butterfly on the bottle. And so for you to see how easy it is to use, I'm going to spray my mirror, which I have right here, and take a blue cloth and wipe it, and it's gone. So people think that you should use a lot of it. You use very little. What is interesting about glass and mirrors is the blue cloth, which is a microfiber cloth. And I think that this cloth I just used is more than 10 years old. There is a new blue cloth, which I hope Shaklee gets back, which is going to last you your lifetime. So speaking of the mirror, I'm going to put some lipstick on it now. And lipstick has an oily residue. It is not something that is easy to remove. And an old bicycle mirror works very well. So you put it on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bottle, which is all purpose, and spray a cloth with it, paper towel, and show you how it really does remove the red lipstick.
Wow.
And I can see Carol Ellen if I move it too far.
Yeah.
So it is so clear. I can see through. So that does work. And like I say, there's oil in lipstick, and so it's very hard to remove. But there it is. It's right there on my cloth. Okay.
Is it really, excuse me, is it really a product that goes deeper than water?
Well, of course it is. I love to show that it does that. So what I have is I have here one of our papers that our products are wrapped in when we get our orders from Shackley. And to prove it, I'm going to take a drop of water here. I'll show it to you. And one here. And maybe I can show you. Can you see my drops of water?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What's amazing to me is the drops stay there. They don't move. So I have my little Basic H bottle. I drop one drop in there and it begins to spread like it is actually getting absorbed. This one is staying there. It doesn't do anything. Hard to see
Wow.
probably because it's a little drop. So it does go deeper than water.
Excellent.
And I'll just dry those off and put my sheet away. So the next product that I have is, did
The
you want
shortening.
to add a few drops of water to your soil? Is what we do, because if it's deeper, then the rainwater will go in. You use a few drops of Basic H in your bucket of water and it seeps into the ground on a hot day. And we use that at our herb garden at the museum.
So the real test is to add shortening or fat to the palm of your hand.
True. So here we go. I have here a bottle with some very nice white fat. I'm going to put it in my hand and I'm going to spread it a little bit. And nothing happens when I add Basic H. I want to show you that. Basically, I want to have a little bit more of the white, and I add Basic H, a little drop, and I close my hand, and nothing happens to the fat I have there. But add a drop of water because you need water, close your hand, and I don't know if you can see that, but it all gathered up together. It's
Ah.
going to be able to be dispensed. I wipe it off, and here's my other hand, dry. Here's the hand with the fat, dry as the other hand. So there is no fat, no oil residue. It is gone. Do you believe how easy that was?
I
It's
love
not, it's not any other product I think you can do that with.
Okay, what did a friend tell us about tomatoes?
Well, we have a friend, his name is Tim. I think some of you know him. And he told us that he grew tomatoes. And what did he use for his fertilizer? He used Basic H in the water. He grew tomatoes that were tall, beautiful. They grew so well, and I'm sure they tasted great. So remember, this is a fertilizer. It is a degreaser. It is everything that you can imagine and more.
So what can Nature Bite be used for?
Well, I have to take my paper and turn it over. We use Nature Bright to clean clothes, stains, and sometimes stains on my counter, not just stains on my clothes. So I'm going to show you that. Unfortunately, we started early and I have to go get my water. But I have water here, so I will try this. Usually you want to try it with some warm water. And I did heat some warm water. I'm putting warm pretend water in my little container. And then we have iodine. Iodine is bright, bright red. And if you can get this to turn white, the product must be working. So I have iodine in one of my little bottles. I'm going to sprinkle some in there to really get a color in there. And then out of a similar little container, Nature Bright, I drop it in and cover it. And hopefully, well, did you see that? Did you blink? You
Whoa,
missed it.
whoa.
I've been doing this to practice because I really wanted it to turn color. And what do you do with this? Well, you go put it in your sink or your bathroom or somewhere. Now, what is important to learn about it, and this is how basically it comes in a little pouch. I love the fact that they put green ears on the dog, but he has his own ears. It's a granular. And what I like about it is that it doesn't take the color away from clothes. So if you have something green like I have, and I drop chocolate on it or something, I can use it to clean any color and it does not take the color away. It doesn't, it's the bleach replacement that all of us need to use because bleach is the most horribly toxic product banned in Europe.
Wow.
Any questions on that? Yeah, it is.
Since 1956, long before pollution became an issue, Shackley was a green company. Basic H squared is an organic super cleaning concentrate that is safe, non-polluting, biodegradable, non-irritating, and pH balanced, a product that saves your health and planet. We have a flyer that we give to our customers, so ask the person that invited you to this call for that information. Jeanette?
And so I want to say always make sure that you have all three bottles because, first of all, Basic H is a great product. On the back, it won't tell you what's in it, but it will tell you how to fill your bottles. The butterfly bottle, which I've already used, but let me show you. There is a line here. That is where the water stops. So you add water. And in the window, you add 1 or 2 drops of Basic H. Now, don't use any more. It will actually make a mess. Well, that's a good word to use. It will smear your product on the window. So don't make it so that it is more than 1 or 2 drops. Now, what you do, I showed you my blue cloth. There is a green cloth, and you spray the windows and glass and mirrors, but you spray the cloth. Well, I have it on a spray here to use for dusting and for furniture. And at our museum, we use it to clean our antique furniture. And it tends to not have dust stick on the furniture as long, except the spiders always go there. Now, the one thing that I like is the all-purpose cleaner, and it has a ladybug. I mean, who doesn't like a ladybug if you're a gardener? And in this case, the amount of Basic H is a 1/4 teaspoon. So that's easy because at Shackley, we have a little measuring cup and the tiny part is a 1/4 teaspoon. How convenient. And did you notice it fits right on top of my bottle? The other one, which I use to cover the bottle, is a tablespoon, and you put that in a bucket and you wash your floor, you wash your walls, you wash your sink, you wash the steps outside, you wash everything that you can think of. Everything. Nice. Now, this bottle is yellow. I think it's probably made to signify fat. This is one I put in my kitchen near my sink, and the product uses a teaspoon and a half. So, how many of these little quarters do you have to use? Well, that's a math question, and I'm not going to answer that one. So, I love the bottles. Don't buy any other kind of bottle, please. These are the only bottles that you want to use. And
So how safe is it?
safe? Well, let me tell you. Well, I love doing this demo, and as I said, there's a lot more products that we should learn about. However, these are the important part. And if you are going to use the bottle of Basic H just to make the window cleaner, how many does Shackley tell you you were going to make of these bottles? Well, it's 5,824 replacement for a Windex bottle. That is amazing. And that's why you're going to save a lot of money because all these other products cost a lot more money. And just to show you, I love doing the demo. And when I finish, I love to look at my butterfly. I turn it around, I look at it, and now you people are all Shackley people, I assume, but people who are not Shackley, when I spray my mouth with it, they gag. They go, well, I say, if I use the spray bottle with one drop, how badly am I going to be affected by that one drop? People have drunk Basic H by mistake and live to tell the story. So
So in
I wanted to
closing,
tell you about it.
so in closing, at our regional events that we did up here in New England when we did the Get Clean demo, we came up with an acronym that we closed, and that acronym is based off the company name Shackley. So the S for Shackley stands for safe for you and your planet, never toxic. The H, healthy for you, never fails us. A, all-purpose products. K, kinder to the health, kinder to the health of the environment. L, it lasts. Our products are concentrated and last. E, it's easy to use. And the final E is it's easy for your wallet.
And so I have used that for such a long time. Shackley and the world, what does it spell? And that, my friends, completes this part of the demo for today. Thank you.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Great job, Jeanette and Rick. Your combo is really excellent. It's great to have both of you.
Well, let me
It's a
just
great
say that we
combo.
had to do the demo on iodine 4 times before we got the right proportion so that it would become white in the container. And I'm surprised it came
And it
off white.
actually worked in cold water instead of warm.
I've got my tea kettle on, and I was so anxious to get on the call. I just came to the call.
And it worked. So we
Right.
learned something else new. Really great job, you guys. Now, give us, I want to hear from everybody because I know there are going to be more stories and things, but lay out for us like what are the simple tools that someone would want to have in order to do this. So you've got the sprays, you've got the Basic H, and then you've got the cup, and then so you need a little thing of water, and you need to lay out those things so we know
Okay.
exactly what we need.
What you need is I make jams and jellies. They have a half-cup jar. It's glass. That was what is beside my kettle here I was going to use. It's very much the size of these little containers that I was given in my kit. So you
Okay.
can fill one with basically the Nature Bright, one with a fat, and one you keep it with nothing so that you can put the water and you can swirl it and it turns white, hopefully. So the only thing you need is you need a mirror. And I tell you, an old bicycle mirror that I found, I have a couple of them. I don't know where I got them. Buy a small mirror, one that probably stands up, and have all the bottles. And the other thing is the clots. Those are very important to show
Mhm.
because without these clots, it would be much more difficult to wipe clean with one swoosh. That's a swoosh.
Mhm.
That's a French word. And so don't throw away your basic H bottles. What you do is you put another, this is a giant spray, but it's a basic H bottle. And everything you buy at the store, or not you, but your neighbors, ask them for old, spray from the bottles and tell them you will fill it with basic H. I mean, what is a couple of drops to give your neighbors? And they can start cleaning their windows.
Awesome.
So you don't need very much. I did have a dropper, a little water dropper.
Okay.
I was using a spoon earlier. It was plastic and I broke my spoon. So I couldn't use the spoon, but it was just enough. I think that I needed to use a little bit bigger drop so that you could have seen it. But otherwise, nothing is hard. Everything is easy, isn't it?
We also have the demo cards that came with the kit, and I was just looking at them, and they're actually dated 2006.
Wow. Wow.
Okay,
So
Well,
I have some thoughts.
yes,
go
go,
ahead, I'm
Marty.
waiting.
First of all, thank you. That was really cool. I liked it. You did a great job, Jeanette. It's really awesome. And Rick, you're cool too. I love the input. Ah, biodegradable. Who coined that word?
Oh, did Shackley do that?
Dr. Shackley.
Right, Dr. Shackley.
Dr. Scala told us the base makes the water wetter. Do you know by how much?
Yes, I did know by how much. I saw that one time. Is it, it's a lot. What is it?
300,
I was going to say three. Yep,
Wow.
300 times.
yep.
So
And
when
it
you go
just absorbs.
when you go to your neighbor and you ask her for that sprayer, say, "Have you got a sprayer?" And they'll go, "Yeah." If I could make a bottle up for you that would do 5,800 bottles of Windex, would you want something like that? And then you bring them over a drop in that one bottle and say, "Okay, let's test it out."
I was at a friend's house and she was selling her house, and I went to help her clean her windows. She was on the outside, I was on the inside. It was a windy day, and she spread
Mhm.
Windex all over my face. I said, "Wait, I have to go home." And I got my bottle of Shackley, and she
Mhm.
bought the whole bottle and the spray bottles. And I've asked her, "Where did you put those?" And she
Mhm.
said, "I don't know. I moved to Singapore."
Mhm.
So
Oh,
Back
she
in
says,
back in about 1975, um, I had a child, husband or father come in and with his child. And he said that the child had gotten a hold of a product that we had that was called Basic Eye back then.
"Yeah,
And Basic H, the pH factor is almost the same as the H2. And the kid drank this. And so he did the milk and he did all the other stuff to try to make the kid vomit the stuff up, which he did. And so the kid was still not feeling well. So they took him to the emergency room. And the doc says, first thing you do is when you drink a poison, you never have anybody try to throw it up. You've got to neutralize it. Secondly, he asked what the product was, and he showed him the bottle. It was basically, oh, it's basically, don't worry about it. Take him home, give him a lot of water. That was the answer to that child.
oh wow."
wow. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, we have a friend who put some Basic Age. She was cleaning a house in a in a plastic bottle, maybe water or something he had drunk. And so he took it with him and he grabbed the bottle and he drank it.
Mhm.
Nothing happened to him. I still
Yeah.
meet up with him.
Mhm.
I have a coordinator at the time when her grandchildren were around. She was making fondue and she was taking it out from the kitchen through the sliding door out to the patio. And the grandchild ran between her and the door and underneath the fondue and she spilled it on him. And of course, you know what that would do, hot fondue on top of them. She looked and she saw a bottle of Basic H and she poured it all over the kid in that, and he never had a burn.
Wow.
Oh,
And in
that's
California,
amazing.
one of the number one things they use in burn hospitals for children was Basic H.
Wow.
Wow.
See, it's fun to be old. You know all these old things.
Well, I think this product, if everybody could learn about it, like the gal
Mhm.
that I had helped, she said, I'm not interested. I don't want to hear about it. Well, okay. She said they're very healthy and her husband has died. So they're not that healthy. And you can't help everybody. My husband tells me that.
So,
Well,
so
speaking
but
as an older person in Shackley, there are a few there are a few other background facts that you might find really useful.
What?
First of all, the first Earth Day was in 1970, and Shackley was the Earth Day product in 1970. And I know that because in 1980, I'd been in Shackley for a couple of years, and I remember going with my supervisor to a big Earth Day thing. So we were involved in Earth Day from the beginning, and the beginning was 1970. Another thing, Basic H is the first product that got Shackley connected with NASA because it was taken to the moon a number of times with the Apollo astronauts because Shackley needed to find something. They have to recycle the water, and yet they have to get things clean and they have to people clean and everything else, but they don't want to poison their astronauts who also need to drink the water so that it can be recycled through them and all kinds of other interesting stuff. And Basic H was the only thing NASA could find that would be easy to take out of the water because it's organic components that it broke down into were negligible.
interesting. That one, I hadn't heard that one. That's great.
I had just purchased a home that was on a
Well,
lake.
I came into Shackley around that time, so
Mhm. I just purchased a home that was on a lake, and
yeah, we used to have
except
flyers that Shackley put out about that.
David can't hear me. Can you hear me, Carolyn?
Yeah, I can hear
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I just purchased this home on a lake, and the septic system was oozing out, and it happened to be in the front yard, so it wasn't pretty. Anyway, I was going to have it cleaned, and they said don't bother because they were coming through city water and sewer. So I waited. They didn't get there for 6 months, but I had just got into Shackley and started using the products. And when they came to clean and break that septic up and connect the water and sewer, it was empty. Now, I built a house in the middle of 50 acres of woods, and that was septic. And believing what I saw from the first house, I never bothered to have it checked or cleaned. It's empty in 40 years. And when they came in and they opened up to go clean it, it was empty.
Wow. Yeah, that says so much, doesn't it?
I know Sue and Carrie had something to say.
Yeah, hi, Jeanette, great job. The drops of water on the paper. One of the things that I've used instead is the cardboard egg cartons. Because a cardboard egg carton is designed to hopefully contain a broken egg, just in case. All right, so the water will not soak through them. So I usually take two pieces of an egg carton, just cut them off the egg carton, use a double, put water in both of them, and then a drop of Basic H in one, and you can see it literally soak into the egg carton. It's a really nice visual if you let it sit for a little bit and then hold it up and it drops out of one and it's soaked in the other. So
You're
That's a
muted,
great
Jeanette.
visual, Sue. Mhm.
To add to that, Sue, do you put water in the other portion of the?
yeah,
I bet you did the whole meeting and the water was still there.
yeah, it was. Yeah. Yep. And usually what I've usually also done, I used to do a basic G demo with a towel and a match
Mhm.
and good old brand L,
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
where I take a bath towel and spray it with good old brand L and drop a match on it, and of course it lights, and you put it out with the basic G. And then I'll usually, at that point, I've already done the basic H demos and I set stuff aside and I'll set the egg carton on top of the towel for the rest of the meeting. And then at the end of the meeting, it's like, oh, look. And that's when you turn it and the water still spills out of the other side because it's still sitting there. Yeah. Yep.
So great.
One other little thing that I had heard from a friend who had gotten a tattoo. She was told by the tattoo artist the best thing for keeping it clean for during the healing process initially is basic H.
Aha.
Yeah.
Just a quick little spritz of like the window solution or whatever, and just with the basic H.
Excellent.
At the lake house, I was going to pour a patio, and it was about 20 foot square, and it was 98 degrees. So we poured a quart of basic H into the cement truck, and we put it in with the patio. Well, the guy couldn't believe it because the cement truck, when he went to clean it, he says, that thing came clean fast. I couldn't believe that. When I sold the house, I happened to meet the person that bought the house, and they broke up the patio for some reason. I never asked him why. But he says that patio was the most tough cement they ever broke up. They said it took them for hours to try to break that cement. It was like steel.
I had a customer whose husband poured cement on a regular basis for where he worked, and he was using the basic H that way, and he said it was the best pours that he would get.
Right.
Yep.
So they mixed it into, I mean, give me a sense of proportions, not that, I mean, like a cup and a jug or.
Well, I don't know. I think it was about 4 yards of cement, 4 or 5 yards, and he poured a quart in there. That's all we used in there. So I also painted the house, and the house I used Olympic paint. I put 1 ounce of basic H in each can of paint. 30 years later, the paint had still not chipped or peeled.
Oh, amazing, amazing stuff.
And I used about 30% less paint too, because it spread so far.
Anybody want to comment on the Amish uses, Marty?
Well, I had a fella that I had talked to. He owned 5,000 acres of farm. And I talked to him about basic H, and he says, I'll give you a plot. And I'll plant mine on one side. You can do yours on the other side. And we were doing corn as the example. And when it got about so high out of the ground, I pulled the roots out. And Carolyn, make a fist. That was the size of the root on their product. Now take 2 fists and put it together. And that was the size of the Shaklee.
My gosh.
So and the other thing is he used Nature's in his sprayers, and he didn't have to use cleaners in it because they came clean. And also he reduced his Nature's herbicides 50%. So the savings paid for the basic H moreover than that. Plus the average yield for corn was 27% greater.
Wow. Wow. There is a whole, this is the legend stuff. And by legend, I mean just maybe if somebody thought you were printing it today, you were crazy, but it's not crazy. That talks about all the agricultural applications of basic H and of the cleaning products that
Right.
have been used in, and I give credit to the Amish, not that it was only the Amish, but I know that at planting season, basic H would be sold in 5-gallon and 30-gallon drums.
Correct. Correct. To add to David's comment about NASA too, I was told that they used to clean the capsules before and after with it too, as well.
Aha. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, and they also used it for cleaning grease off a lot of things because it was so clean in itself. And the reason I know that is because back when I lived at the old house 25 years ago or so, I had a contractor from Nashua, New Hampshire, who was doing some machining work for NASA. And in their specifications, he had to get some of the original basic H. And so he bought a gallon from me. I I guess it goes a long time for what they use it for or something. But that was a requirement in the NASA specifications for creating these parts that they were making.
Wow.
And he had to find me in the yellow pages. Fortunately, we still had yellow pages.
Right.
Wow.
Now, just so you know, the farming used classic basic H. It wasn't the H2. And that is available, 5 gallons and 30 gallons.
Mhm.
I didn't know it was available in 30 gallons. That must be
Yes.
very heavy.
Right. Yes, it's heavy.
Yes.
I had a
Yeah.
long-haired
You don't get
cat.
free shipping for that.
Yeah, no. I had a long-haired cat that had
Separate shipping for that.
gotten fleas. And the cat was just going nuts, scratching, pulling the hair out, everything. I said, that's enough. I put him in the sink with some basic H in the sink. And I swore that cat smiled. You could literally see the fleas float to the top along with the blood that they had sucked out of him and he was the happiest cat after that.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Crazy stories.
Well, I can remember doing a visual at the very beginning of my business. And I was told to go through the house and take out every single product that was in the garage, the pantry, under the sink, hidden any place. And we put them out in the middle of the table. And you had this whole pile of random stuff. You know, half of it was used, some of it was a 2-for-1 special, all of the things that you couldn't find when you really wanted them. And they were all laid out there. And then they were replaced by like 3 or 4 products, like just like Jeanette has shown, 3 or 4, and you could add the I always call it at ease, but it's scour off. Add the scour off to it, and you know, here you would have this small handful of products with the spray bottles, and that's all you needed.
When I first started, I was told to Shakleyize my home. So I took all the products out from underneath the sinks and I put it in a box. And I told this to Dr. Case the other night. And I walked 2 doors down to a neighbor that had 6 kids. And when he opened the door, he says, come on in. And I set this on his counter. He says, what's this? And I says, this is for you. And he looked at it, oh my goodness, this is going to save us a lot of money. And then he stopped and he says to me, why are you giving me this? And I was brand new. I was shy, didn't want to ask him to buy anything. I put my head down. I said, well, I found something better. He literally pushed it aside and said, show me what you got.
I love it.
That box went down the street. That was the beginning of our consumer base around the neighborhood.
I love it. I love it. Any other stories that you would like to share that will add to with this great presentation that Jeanette has done for us?
This is
Oh,
kind of different. We took a family trip to Southern Ohio to clean some headstones. And some of the family members were down there before and they had tried like Dawn, Krud Kutter, any other toxic cleaner you can think of. And I suggested Basic H when we went down, and it was the only product that completely cleaned everything off of those headstones. They look
Wow.
like new. And you know, it's
Wow.
granite, but yeah,
Isn't that
it's like
great?
1,002 uses, you know.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 Nature Bright stories.
Great.
Priscilla Smith, Dean Smith and Priscilla Smith. She had a christening dress from her grandmother, was 100 years old. And it was yellow as the coloring behind Jeanette's background. And she soaked it in Nature Bright for 3 days and it came out as white can be. So I thought this was really cool. So I had a Seersucker sport coat, and that's when it had all the beautiful colors in it. It was a spring, really light coat. And I gotten some stains on it, and I had it cleaned, and it just got yellow around the counter, and I couldn't get them out. And I took it to the cleaners 2 or 3 times. And finally, I heard this story, so I soaked it for 3 days. That thing came out brand new. Boom, 3 days.
Wow. Well, I think that's one of the one of the things that we learn is using these products, there are two components. One of them is make sure you use enough water. And secondly, give them time. Yes, I get to announce that we have just replaced. We have an American flag that is hanging outside off of our dock, and we had one that had gotten tattered because we've had so much wind and it was starting to shrivel. So Eddie did some homework and found out where we could respectfully dispose of the one that was tattered. And he has just purchased another one and has just hung it up right now. So we are watching the new flag in the breeze.
Awesome. That's cool.
One of the other, I don't know, maybe you mentioned it earlier before I got on or something, but Jacques Cousteau's ships just would only use Shackley's cleaning products exclusively.
Yes.
And Calypso and the others, because it did not harm the environment. Also the sunscreens and things like that. But one other just little handy thing about Basic H that I've always kept it around when we're camping, etc. If you get stung by a bee, it neutralizes the pain and neutralizes the bee sting instantly. Just put a drop on, full
Oh,
strength.
thank you, Sue.
Yeah, full strength. Also, if you put it on your hands full strength and let it dry, and then go out and dig in your garden or whatever, if you're not going to use gloves, whatever, your hands will clean up very easily and nicely. It's like an invisible glove.
Great for paintbrushes and that.
Yep.
Yes.
Do you remember the Biosphere?
Oh yeah. We toured Biosphere too just last summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they used in Biosphere,
Did you know that when they first put that together in Arizona, that they were offered the cleaning products from the other companies free? But they purchased Shackley because it was the only one that met their standard.
Right.
To be able to take
Explain some more about that, Marty, what the Biosphere was.
The Biosphere was a community that was supposed to be put together in Arizona, and it was supposed to be an outer space community that they had planned to bring. I don't know if they were going to put it floating itself or whether they're going to put it on the moon, wherever they were going to put it. But I don't remember that history. Maybe David does. But anyway, that was the key. They had to have something that would not, like the astronauts, they needed something that was safe for them, for the water and for the environment and that. And none of the other products that was made in the industry met that standard, except Shackley. So
I think they were looking a little bit more forward than that, and they were looking toward Mars. But it was something anyway. It was an isolated environment because they wanted to isolate this environment,
correct,
while it was on Earth, because they could always drag people out of it if they need to. But in the meantime, it was completely cut off from everything out here except communications. But physically, it was all separated. And that was the point of it. They wanted to be able to grow things, to be able to live off the land in there, be able to recycle their air and all kinds of other fun stuff.
Better explanation. Excellent, David. That's great.
So lots of interesting plants they had in there as well.
They had everything from rainforest right through desert, through garden, and the whole thing. The tour is amazing. It's just outside of Tucson. And
how big is it?
There was an intermediary step where it was going to be like a ship that was gonna, I don't know if it was just gonna orbit or if it was going to, it was in between going on as far as going to Mars, but that was going to be the next step.
There was a lady that
they couldn't isolate the gravity though.
Yeah.
You still had gravity going.
There was a lady who wrote a book. I can't remember her name offhand, but she talked about these cleaners and how toxic they were and how long it'd take them to biodegrade. I mean, we were looking at Shackley 6 hours to 6 days. And I think she talked about Tide being as long as 200 years. And she said one thing that really caught my attention was it was the number one. Household cleaners and personal care products were the number one cause of illness, disease, and death in females and children in the household.
Wow.
So anybody with allergies or asthma or any of that stuff. You remember the story about Roger and his son Spencer?
Oh, good one, Del. Yes, tell
Yeah.
that one. Yeah.
And when he bought the company, Spencer had developed problems and they took him to the emergency room and the doc says the kid's got asthma. And Sloan was a research journalist and she went back 4 generations and could not find any case or incidence of that problem. And somebody mentioned to Roger, I guess, about the household cleaners, and Sloan changed that out. And we've never seen Spencer have another occurrence of that problem. And how long we've known him, 22 years or something like that.
Yep. Yep.
And of course, that's how the base, they tried to get the stuff, I guess it was with Oprah at first, and then the vice president wanted it brought in. And of course, she goes, well, why can't we get it in the White House? So that's how we ended up in the White House. So, and she made that Get Clean kit to try to get it all in one simple box. And it is back. The only thing is that it's without the bottles and all the add-ons. But I think it's economics. That's what they did it.
Rick, what does David say that he has? Is it asthma or what?
I thought it was asthma. I don't know. Allergies or
You're talking about David Harris?
No,
Spencer.
David, who came on Sunday.
Oh,
Spencer,
he's got allergies.
Spencer Barnett.
Right, but she was talking about a friend that visited us on Sunday. He's got allergies.
Yeah.
Because he can't do so many things and he's so young. So he should get rid of his toxic cleaners. Is that what I think?
I've had people that were taking the Nutriferin and the alfalfa and that, and they had allergies and they were getting, nice results, but it wasn't really solving the problem. And then we added in the immune formula, and I had people on inhalers that got off the inhalers. So that combination seemed to really benefit people. Depends how bad they are, I guess.
Yeah.
Cleaners and the nutrition.
Well, what it all boils down to for all of us is that there's really a very small number of simple products. We didn't refer to the laundry products, but the laundry is concentrated and does everything you want it to do. And the Nature Bright you have talked about using, Jeanette, so you showed that. And the nice thing about Nature Bright is you can use it in your white clothes or in your clothes with color. As you mentioned, Marty, it doesn't stain them. So really, you can pretty much replace anything that you're using in the house with just this small, compact number of products, which by the time you do it are ridiculously inexpensive because they last forever. They just don't need to be replaced.
Washer and dryer has planned obsolescence. They give you 10 to 15 years. We didn't replace ours in Illinois for 38 years.
Mm-hmm.
They were
I was
leasing
reading
them.
that Shackley has made our laundry products, the laundry soap, better yet. Recently, a lot of products have gone and been upgraded.
Yeah.
I don't know where I read that, but I used the laundry soap today on stains before putting them in the washer, and pow, it worked.
Right.
Go ahead, Sue.
I use the powdered laundry in my HE machine. Okay. A lot of things say you got to use the liquids in the high efficiency machines. I use the powder because I only use like a tablespoon and a half of the powdered laundry concentrate because it is so concentrated and works so well that, that works. So I used it all through the, hang on a second. My husband's standing here with his hand up in the air. What, dear?
And my 1982 NASCAR shirts still look brand new.
I don't know if you could hear him or not. His 1982 NASCAR shirts still look brand new.
Yeah, you don't want to lose those. Those are cool.
No, you don't want to lose those.
No.
But when we first got married, we bought a used washing machine,
Mhm.
and we were told it might last you another 4 or 5 years. That whatever. And I'm quite sure it was a good 25 to 30 years before we had to replace it because it just literally fell apart. But because it doesn't have the buildup of the extra stuff that's added into a lot of the laundry products, it doesn't have the extra stress on the machines and it doesn't rust out the bucket.
Great.
Our son played football, and of course, in football, grass stains are tough to get out. And all Lynn ever used was the laundry products from Shackley, and they were the cleanest football jerseys and pants on the field ever,
There you go.
And I'm glad to hear, Jeanette, you're reporting that it's even better. That
That's
Yeah,
great.
it is.
new science, that's what happens with new science.
So as we close, are there any other stories from any of the others of you that are here on the call? Any of you want to add anything? Or yes, Carrie?
You muted, Carrie. Still muted.
Press your space bar.
I don't know whether I can unmute.
Gary, you need to unmute
If you use the
yourself.
spacebar techniques, you have to keep holding it down.
You got a mic in the lower left-hand corner. You should be able to unmute there. Try that.
Yeah, lower left-hand corner, audio, and says audio and visual. So we still can't hear you.
Just scroll down and it should come up.
Oh, shucks. We still can't hear
Or
you.
the three bullets up on the top, you should be able to.
Betsy, did you have anything while we get Carrie on?
Yeah, I spent 6 years at Little League fields
There you go.
with 5 kids
Wow.
and all those teams and softball and baseball. And you know how they're always chewing gum? Like always chewing gum. That's like one
Oh,
of the
geez.
things you
Good
do.
luck.
The girls would get it in their hair, and I would have straight up basic H, and I'd stick it in their hair, and we'd pull the gum out versus the tragedy of that.
Wow. Carrie, it looks like you're back.
Now we can't hear you.
Now we can now speak. Oops. Looks like you're not muted.
You
Her
speak,
headset's not-
unplug the headset and speak through
take
the
off your
computer.
headset. We'll wait.
It's fighting her. She's
Anybody
leaving.
else? Anybody else with some classic stories?
Mhm.
Some of these, of course, they may not pass the test of going through somebody, but these are all the uses that we can all personally talk about.
Nobody mentioned Basic G.
And that's true.
Yeah. Basic G is a
Yeah,
phenomenal
I
product.
mentioned it with my flaming towel.
I had a
Yes,
fella
you
that
did.
sold to a local hospital, and they used G. It was better than the stuff that they bought commercially.
I've sold that to church nurseries and veterinarian offices and pet shops with the MSDS sheet because it's safer around the birds.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You use the handwriting where they show the Clorox when it's opened up in the back of the classroom. You seen that sheet?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I have those.
So I ask a question, if your child was in this classroom and you saw this happen, would you want them to go back in the classroom? If you had something that could prevent that, what would you say? I mean, little simple questions, just plant the seed.
Yeah. Well, Carrie, we're still looking. If we can catch you, we'd love to hear back from you. You're unmuted from our side. We lost your visual. But if you got a story, jump in. Anybody else got some stories to add? And if not, let's give a big thank you to Jeanette and Rick. You guys set this up beautifully. It's just an excellent. Oh, I know what I was going to add. What we've forgotten to mention is we never talked about I always call it at ease, the scour off. that's like the scrubber. And the simple way I love to demonstrate that, it lasts forever. It's great for inside of the sinks, you know, just cleaning off anything. It's great in the boats. But what I love to do is tell people it's an oven cleaner. And then I'll take my finger and put it in there and rub it in my face. Now, tell me how many people would put the oven cleaner on your face, because it just doesn't bother anything. And it doesn't smell and it doesn't hurt. But boy, it works great.
We didn't talk about Basic D. One other thing. I have
That's true.
a lady who cleans homes, and she's got one restaurant that has a lot of carbon issues, and she didn't know how to clean it. And if you make a solution of warm water in that Basic D and let it dissolve, you spray it on the glass or the countertops, it'll wipe it off just like that.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's the concentrated. And one of the things that I do, I've started putting a label on the top of any of these things. And my dishwasher stuff, I usually run the dishwasher about once every 3 days. And we're running about 6 months for each container of the Basic D, the dishwasher. And then I'll do the same thing with the what do they call the spray thing for the laundry? Do the same thing, and it will last 6 or 7 months just using it regularly. So they're ridiculously inexpensive when they're done right.
So you use
So-
G in your dishwasher?
No. I mixed up by saying no, Basic D.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, D in the dishwasher. No, sorry if I missed up our basic languages. Well, Carrie, last shot. Can we find you? If not, we look forward to hearing your story. Reach out. Let's give a really big thank you to you, Jeanette, and to Rick. You guys set this up beautifully. Thank you for getting us started, and just terrific. So now
Thank
our
you.
assignments are to go get our own little package of demos put together with however you want to. And Jeanette and Rick have made it really simple. So
Thank you very much.
much. This all
Thank
sets
you.
us up for Earth Day. So
Okay.
thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great job.